Welcome to Lakeside's Garage. Here we are. We're pre-recording this week so we can do a few things outside while it's still light. So here we are. We're in the truck garage, and Joe and I have been doing this in an effort to bring awareness to the Historical Construction Equipment Museum in Bowling Green, Ohio, or Association in Bowling Green, Ohio, home of the National Construction Equipment Museum, and the importance of becoming a member and supporting the museum through donations or memberships and corporate memberships. Right now we have calendars for sale at the Historical Construction Equipment Association. They're the nicest calendars you've ever seen. You can buy one or you can buy thousands of them for your company, and they'll do your company logo on them. They've got 12 months of really nice old historical construction equipment. So that's something to look into. You can see them on the website, but any support is welcome. We're getting set to build a new museum out there, and of course we need members, and we're doing good, and we've been picking up quite a few members, and I thank everybody that's joined. But you know, anybody that you know that needs to be a member, and it's a great thing to be a member of. Here's one of the Equipment Echoes magazine. You get that in the membership, and it's worth the price right there just to get that magazine. It's got really good articles on antique equipment, and it's the only place where you're going to find this kind of stuff. And you can find these online. You know, you can see some of the articles, and very interesting magazine, and it goes to a great group. So thank you, and so let's get on with it. We're in the truck garage right now. We're going to go look at a locomotive that we hauled in, and then check out a couple other things. I got kind of a neat story. But we don't just collect big stuff. Like my brother went to an auction the other day. This is a B&O Railroad shovel. Looks like it shoveled a lot of coal. Kind of worn, but pretty cool. All wood, probably well over 100 years old. And so let's venture out to the locomotive. Yep. Okay, here we are. This is our entry into real railroading. We just put this little rail bed in here. We hauled this locomotive in about 2 weeks ago. The reason the gravel's all up around the tracks is we brought it in. A friend of ours brought this in with a lowboy, a detachable lowboy, and he had rails on the lowboy, and we had to pull the tractor up on this gravel and detach and then back the tractor out. And I did dig some of it out of there, and all the rest of this gravel will come back out of here. But and then we laid a few extra rail in front of it because we've got a caboose coming also. But the game plan is that we're going to put a loop around this building and go around the gas station there and just have a loop and at least pull our caboose around for now, and maybe a side dump car if we can find one. But this is a 45-ton General Electric, what they call the switcher engine. It's got 2 Cummins diesels in it with DC generators. One in this is the back of the unit, and one in the front. Now, one of them turns over. We haven't started either one of them yet. We believe one will run. The back engine is stuck. And we have a little bit more to that story, but it looks mechanically like it'll go. And since it's just a diesel engine and a generator and then some switchgear going to motors, we feel we can get it running and have a little fun with it running around here eventually. So I do have a man coming that's going to help us. They have a 32-volt starting system on it. We're just starting to learn about them. We have batteries coming for it. We've got a few things to do on this front engine, and I believe we'll have it running.
And once again, as you mentioned, we're going to do a loop around the building here. It is cold out today. We just, here in northeastern Ohio, we got hit pretty good yesterday. Looking at the National Weather Service yesterday, areas north of us got 2 feet of snow. At Thompson, they actually had they recorded 25 inches at Thompson.
I'll bet you we had a foot here because I had...
Easy foot.
I had 10 inches on the trailer, and I think some of it was gone already.
Yeah, we've got an easy foot of snow here that we're
Joe, here's
walking through.
if you come back around this side, this engine, by the design of it, puts it into the 1940s, and there is a casting date on this brake cylinder here of 5/15 of 1941. So we believe this engine is a 1941 or thereabouts, and so the best yet to come. I believe we'll have her running and moving here hopefully in the next couple months. Winter might delay that. The brakes all function. It's sitting here. We have it chock blocked and with the brakes on it and a block behind it.
I like your specialty chalk blocks.
Yeah,
Are those
we made those special.
train ready?
Yeah, well, we have a slight incline here, so. But, you know, keep in mind, we just got this thing. It was in a collection that a friend of ours had, and it was time for it to move. So we wound up with it, and it's, you know, a locomotive is hard to move, but this one only weighing 45 ton compared to bigger ones that weigh lots more than that was feasible to move in here. So here it is. We hauled it on a truck to here, and what was really funny is I had never ever had anybody call me about anything about a switcher locomotive. So we get this thing. We determine that the one engine is bad. It's just a Cummins. There's two 855s. This thing has been updated on the engines. The generators are original, but so I get a call last Wednesday from a friend of mine that scraps things, plants out and stuff, and he's scrapping this whole plant out, and he calls me and says, I just happen to have a Cummins diesel with a generator on it, and they say it came out of a switcher engine. And it was completely rebuilt, the engine and the generator. So I said, I may be interested in that. So that was the day before Thanksgiving. So the day after Thanksgiving, I found myself in Erie, Pennsylvania, and bought an engine. So we're gonna go look at that next.
Go on this one.
Okay, so here we are at this Cummins engine that this friend of mine called me about up in Erie, Pennsylvania. This is a 1945 H model Cummins that's been, the story is that it was completely rebuilt. Now this thing was black when I got it because it was in a coke processing plant, and it was just coated with black dust. It looked horrible, but you could see there was a gem underneath it. It's got a rebuild tag on the generator from 2016. So I believe that this unit is going to foot the bill. This one will be closer to the actual original motor that would have been in that locomotive. Physically, an 855 is about the same as this engine, but more cubic inches. But this is probably more period correct for that engine. The only thing that they've done is they put a PT fuel system on it, which is the more modern engine, which will be better for us, but it's not the original disc style fuel pump that would have been here, great big cumbersome thing that were a little problematic. And there is one, we've showed one in the past. This is the same engine that's in the Moore speed crane. So now the only thing they did do is they were roughhousing with it sometime before I got it, and they broke this water manifold off. They saved the other piece, so we can repair that. But they also broke off, there's two oil bath air cleaners that go here. Well, when I saw that, I thought, oh, I'm in luck. You know, that's where it pays to always be a scrounger and a collector, because, and we're going to show you in a minute, several years ago, I was in an old hardware store that had been around for 100 years, and they had got a lot of World War II stuff, and I found two new old stock air cleaners with this horn, this intake horn on them like this, and we're going to go look at one of them. And then there's even more to the story there, so we'll go over to the bench and take a look at them. But so we have our hopes up. We're thinking, you know, this thing should just go in there, plug right in. These are a unit. These holes, I did clean these holes out earlier today. I was going to measure and see if the bolt pattern lined up with what we have there. This is where the air compressor mounts. for the air brakes. So we'll see if how close it will fit, but it should foot the bill real good. So there you have it. That should give us two running engines in that 45-ton locomotive. So let's go look at these air cleaners, Joe.
Here we go.
Now here's the new old stock air cleaners for that old Cummins engine. It's got the tag on it from original. That's a Donaldson air cleaner. And then these were from a hardware store, and we've had these for probably 5 years sitting there just thinking, well, we'll need them. There's this one and another one. They're still partially wrapped up. Now, to even top that off, Tracy Sober and her sister, Tracy, if you're listening, thanks for joining and everything, and we've talked about their family several times. I dealt with her dad and through my dad, her grandfather, all through the years buying parts. They had a lot of Caterpillar equipment and all kinds of other stuff, cranes and stuff. And their dad was a great guy. We got along well. But in some of their stuff that we got from Tracy, there was boxes of these these Donaldson pre-cleaners, complete with the jars on them. Now this one was unwrapped, so it's got a little bit of damage to the decal. I think we're going to go ahead. This is the packing slip. These were in Cosmoline lined boxes. But I've got ones, when I take the ones out of the boxes, they look absolutely like brand new from the 1940s, and that's what's going to go on this one. I don't have one out, but it's like this, but you can just imagine, see that decal? It'll look brand new. There's no scratches and dents in them. But they fit on these air cleaners perfectly. It's exactly what was there, all new old stock. And it's just something, the three coincidences that came together and will put this thing back to original conditions. That's why you don't want to pass this kind of stuff up. When you get a chance to buy it, because this stuff, we've got these a couple years ago from the Sober family, and they came together with these that we had bought 5-6 years ago at a hardware store, and then they'll fit on an engine that we happen to get by that coincidence to fit into this locomotive out here. So, it pays to have this stuff and know where it's at. Maybe just a second here, we'll do a little update on the white Plainsman A4T 1600 tractor. This is Kevin Burke. He's been in here painting, doing a masterful job at painting this. These are the sides of the hood, and it'll have stickers that say Plainsman right here. There's a blue stripe that goes in up here, and he's got some work to do. But and then here's a question for people. This was the special series where it had red, white, and blue, and then stars on the fender. But we're still wondering whether I put in some calls to some people or not, but we don't know if the background behind this where it says white should be blue or if it should be black. So if anybody knows, message Joe. But some of them were black, but this one is it's a commemorative series or something like that. It's a patriotic thing, and we're thinking this one might be blue in here, but we want to find out for sure before Kevin puts the paint in there. But it looks, boy, that white turned out nice. So good job, Kevin. So, all right. Well, let's go out to the containers. Well, here I am back. We've decided to show some of our storage methods for some of these gems that we come up with. And so we'll show the containers and some of the stuff that's in them, but what we do to keep these machines from deteriorating. A lot of times when you put them in an old semi-trailer or even these sea containers, if you put them in there with just the container the way they are, they sweat so bad, they have their own atmosphere, and it just destroys the things that are in them. And we know this from experience. We've had stuff in old semi-trailers. We've moved away from them and went to these sea containers. We found they're better. But there is a few tricks to making them hold up, making them actually make good storage vessels. Of course, it's always best to have them in a heated garage, but when you run out of garage space, it's better to do something rather than nothing and leaving them outside. So, and not everything will fit in here. These are less than 8 feet wide, so only certain things will fit in them. But I'll show you what we've got in them. Now, here I've got my faithful big helper here, Gabriel. He's with me all the time and helps me on a lot of projects. You guys have seen him. He's a HCEA member. He's got some real enthusiasm, and he knows a lot about this kind of stuff already, even at a young age, and he helps me work on stuff. But you can see these containers. Now, some of them, we insulate the walls and everything, but the main and most important thing that we found is we could get this spray-on urethane foam insulation and do the ceiling. And this eliminates the dew point, and you know how you see the raindrops that form on the inside of a steel building or something, especially without heat or insulation. This avoids that. You don't get any sweating coming off the ceiling. The dew point is eliminated from this. The only thing that you do want to do is you do want to have a little bit of airflow through these. So that there's a company that makes vents that go on each end that'll just let air move through them. They're covered so rain and stuff can't get in. And we're installing some. Now what I've been doing with them is I just leave the doors cracked a little bit. And it seems, you can see, this is just, you know, there's dust in here, so it's staying nice and dry. This container, we happen to have the little, we had this tractor acted up for us this year until we changed the gas in it, but this little nice, beautiful little Cat 10 with this homemade canopy on it. And then we've got the TL12 Alice Chalmers loader, which is a pretty good sized machine. You got to be a little careful bringing it in, and it just barely fits in here, but there it is. And then there's a 36 International dump truck. We had that on an earlier video. That's up in front, but they stay pretty nice in here. And when we get them out in the spring, there's no, you know, they're not loaded with moisture and not loaded with rodents. These things are like airtight. So this is one of them. Now here, let's go through. I don't know how we're doing on time, Joe, but we can at least have time. We'll look through a few of these. We opened a couple up here ahead of time. This one here, this is that HD5 that we did a little show on. I wanted to get it out earlier in the year for one of our Wednesday night things, and even though it had just sat for under a year, the rack is stuck on it, and all it wanted to do was run away on me. So we still haven't done anything with that, but we do have a couple of cool crawlers behind it. There you go. Okay, here we are further back in this container behind the HD5, and this is a 1929 Caterpillar 20. This is a gas-powered machine, but it's got what I believe, it's not marked, but I believe it's a LaPlante-Choate hydraulic blade. It has a hydraulic cylinder on the back, and it hinges up here on the track frame to the blade up here in the front. And one interesting note about this tractor was some people that are listening may be familiar with Bob Feller. He was a pitcher for the Cleveland Indians from, I believe, 1937 until into the 50s, and he's in the Hall of Fame. He was a great pitcher, and he was with the Indians organization in one way or another until he died in his 90s. But a lot of us got to know Bob through he collected old Caterpillars, because when he was raised in Nebraska, his dad, or Iowa rather, not Nebraska, Iowa, Van Meter, Iowa. They called him the heater from Van Meter, but he collected Caterpillars because his dad farmed with Caterpillars back in the day, and so he had a real affection for them. And what I found with Bob was he loved to talk baseball, but if he could get him on Caterpillars, not a lot of people talked to him about that. Then he was really into it. So Bob was a nice guy and a great baseball player. Behind it is a Cat 30 logging cruiser. It's got the logging cruiser canopy on it, and that's a runner. All these run, and we haven't had this one out in a couple years, but hopefully this year, if we have our show, I want to get this one out and do a little pushing with it. Bob used to use this at his house in Gates Mills near us, and that's where we picked it up from. We bought several tractors from Bob, so there we have it on this container. We got time to go through another one?
Sure.
All right.
It is on.
Okay, here we are in another sea container, and in the back here, there's a Caterpillar 50, 1934 Cat 50. That's a really nice running tractor. We had bought it at an auction quite a few years ago. And we've been pulling that Euclid bottom dump with it. And it's a nice tractor. It starts up real nice and is a good runner. Good, tough old tractor, pretty decent shape. And then this is a Caterpillar D2. This is a first year D2, built in 1938. I think this was the 56th one built. And at one time it was the oldest known D2 that anybody knew about. But since then, I guess older ones have been found. But I bought this thing at an auction. It was kind of just bought it at the spur of the moment. It wouldn't run right. But we got it home. This is the one I've talked about in the past that we put some ATF in the diesel fuel and got everything, and it runs really good now. It's a beautiful little tractor. We didn't have to do too much work to it. It was kind of an ugly duckling, but we did paint it, as we did the 50, and put some John Hahn seats on it, and made it into a beautiful little tractor. We'll pull the little Euclid rotary scrapers or just about anything with it. And then the last one we have in this container is this R2, which is the same as the D2, so pretty much the same tractor, but this is a gasoline-powered one. We bought this from fellow HCEA member Jay Wack. He had restored it, and we bought it in the condition it's in, and it's a nice running tractor. We've had it at several shows, and we use it. Oh, there you have it. It's these are being preserved. Like I say, this is another one of these containers that has been insulated in the ceiling, and has helped preserve these tractors pretty good. And now, if you like our tour of these containers, we have lots more of them. Like Joe has mentioned in the past, we've got 260 some old machines now, and a lot of them are in these containers, and some of them we haven't even seen in several years. And then we have some old barns and stuff full of stuff too. So if you like just taking the tours, in these winter months, we can go through some more of them and show them. These are parts for the. This is the gearbox off of the engine in that old Coring 301. We have the engine out of, and parts for another project over here. An old Mack hood here. And so there's all kinds of stuff. We've got one container that's full of nothing but engines. There's some Detroits, Cummins, and some pretty cool engines. There's actually a couple of really cool ones in here. We got an old Cummins with a supercharger on it. So. Okay, so I think that's what we got for this week, and we thank you for joining us, and we really thank you for all the support from the HCEA. And if you get suggestions or ideas, or you like more of this stuff, we'll continue to do more of this in the winter months. We're probably not going to be working too much on Wednesday nights because of the COVID going on with a lot of people are concerned about that. So. In the interest of people's health, we've been cutting back on that. So we'll see you. Thank you. And Joe, you got some more? I'm good.
Once again, thank you everybody for joining us. Also want to mention that we've got two members that have decided to donate gift memberships. Mike Peters, who is always on here, I'm sure he'll be on, along with is Jason Novak. Closing all the doors. Jason Novak, want to thank him also. He donated today 2 gift memberships. So we will be contacting 3 members that watch, or 3 people that watch the show every week. Give them the opportunity for a free 1-year membership to the HCEA. If anybody else would like to do that, go to hcea.net and you can click on actually donate and just put in a comment that it's for the Lakeside's Garage and you want to donate a membership to somebody. Or you can just click on join and become a member yourself. So we want to thank everybody this week for joining us, and we will see you on next week's show. We'll probably pre-record it as well. Everybody have a good week.